Okay, so this is what the build looks like. Mostly illusion based spells with the addition of the Storm Ult. We've got the illusion jump, we've got Wraith Spear, and we've got Phantom Mages. So the thought process for this and in practice is that it gives you the most tools to be able to kite. With your jump, you have specific jewels that you can put in that sort of emulates what the Chaos jump used to be. Obviously the Chaos jump, every time you did jump, which gives you 2, you'd think that's better for kiting. It used to give you additional damage on the first attack after said jump, but they recently removed that. But more importantly, it gives this ability here. So next primary attack grants 3 stacks of Phantasm, but I'm pretty sure the roll is between 2 to 4 depending, and we'll go through why that's really important for this build a bit later. But I also have the Wraith Spear. The dash backwards is extremely important for this build, that you can actually animation cancel, so you can just do the dash without throwing the spear. But the spear as well is actually pretty important. The throw itself, especially if you have the dual socketed RNG slots, which is like the increased range. The fading snare is the most important, but the increased range and fading snare is, I guess, the best 2 to have, so that you can either catch up to enemies that are a bit further off your pistol range, or finish people off when they're trying to run away, or just basic kiting, jumping back and throwing a spear at whoever is chasing you, and you're slowing them down while still creating distance, and it's just an extremely important kiting tool. For our secondary spell, we've got Phantom Mages. This is actually really good with certain jewel slots, but this coupled with the Wraith Spear and the Illusion Jump go really well together to be able to kite and just be extremely mobile in general, as well as the Phantasm aspect of this. Obviously, as you've got all this mobility in your illusion spells, the more you use them, especially with your sort of auto attacks, granting the Phantasm per primary attack after you've used the jump, obviously, this stacks up a lot and very quickly. So you get maybe 2 spear casts for free, you get two shields, either or. It's really big. Amulet and weapons, I definitely would be going the Amulet of Crimson Commander. You get the bonus physical power, which is what this sort of build revolves around with your gun, obviously. The life leech is quite good, coupled with your brute bloods or your rogue bloods, which are definitely the 2 different type of bloods that I would go for with this. Obviously the rogue blood, you get the movement speed and the crit strike and the crit chance and all that good stuff, and also with the brute blood, you get the life steal on each hit, which obviously is really good with this weapon skill, life leech. Now the other sort of weapon I use as well is the slashes, mainly for the mobility it gives. You know, your slasher E, you increase movement speed by, I think it's like 30%, and then you get your iframe with your Q. Also your gun E is also an iframe, right? So you'd be looking for your pistols, definitely anything physical related. Kind of physical crit strike chance, physical crit strike damage. Movement speed is also quite good. Max health maybe, but definitely I think ideally physical crit strike chance damage and then movement speed. For the ability modification, you definitely want illusion. This is pretty obvious with your illusion based spells that you already have, but illusion infused hits inflict weaken. Any attack that you do with your Q that hits, it's going to inflict weaken, which gives you more stacks for your Phantasm, gives you higher chance to proc spells for free. It's pretty obvious at that point why you'd want this over anything else. And then for your slashes, you just want, you know, max health, movement speed as much as you can, because you're not going to really be using this to fight unless you're really up close. You'll be using this more for the iframes and the mobility that the E gives you. So if I was to look at both pistol and slashes here for the rolls, just if you're curious, max the movement speed, pretty high in the max health. Weapon attack speeds, you know, whatever. If I'm ever actually attacking with it, it's decent, but the health and movement speed is definitely important on the slashes. And then for the pistol, some decent rolls here. Physical resistance, if I could swap that out for movement speed, that'd be ideal. Okay, so I'll go for what's going to be the most ideal rolls that you're going to get per ability they're going to be using. Starting off, we'll go with Phantom Mages. Definitely the top 3 they're going to be looking for is the duration, the movement speed, and the either target, you know, knock targets back, or consume weaken to fear them. The duration of the effect, obviously, your shield the longer it's on you, the less damage you'll take while kiting. Movement speed's pretty self-explanatory. You want to be mobile, and either the fear or the knockback, depending on sort of who you're versing. I guess if you're encountering a lot of groups that are long range, you definitely want the fear. You can just chuck your shield on someone else, one of your teammates, if you've got people in your group, and if anyone's near them, they'll be feared. You can allow your teammates to keep attacking them, or if you're encountering a lot of, you know, melee sort of bruiser type people that you're versing, definitely the knock people back would be more important. Wraith Spear, you definitely want projectile range, fading snare, and then out of the rest, honestly, probably damage penalty per hit is reduced or increased damage. Obviously this build is going to be a physical based build, so the damage isn't really ideal, but considering everything else is using your spell power anyway, with the wisp healing and the shield absorbing, based on spell power and all that sort of thing. So you definitely want the projectile range and fading snare. That's the main two for that one. Last but not least, your illusion jump, veil of illusion. For this one, you want the elude duration, so you know you're untargetable for a little bit more than normally. You want increased damage of next primary attack. Every time after you jump, you do an attack, crits them, along with all your other crits that you've got in your build. It's really good. And then this one is the most important. 2 to 4 stacks of Phantasm is huge for your build. When you get 10 stacks of Phantasm, you get a free spell cast after you use a spell. It's just really good with the build. The other one, I guess, would be Inflict a Fading Snare. This would actually probably be better than the elude duration, I would say. It just allows you to kite back even more, to catch up to people. It will stack with all this, so let's say you jump and you get the Phantasm stacks, you get the Fading Snare, and you get the extra damage. If it wasn't for the Phantasm stacks that you get from the next primary attack, which I think is the most important, then I would probably go for your Chaos Dash, to be honest. Just allows you extra mobility with the 2 dashes. It doesn't really give that much utility other than a couple of things with it, which would be elude duration, fading snare when an illusion explodes, and spawning a second illusion. I was actually running this for a bit. Every time you jump, you'd leave an illusion behind 2 times, and then if anyone were to run into it, it would snare them. So that does help. And if you don't get the illusion jumps stat roll of the Phantasm stacks, I'd probably be using Chaos. But once you do find a jewel that does have this, chuck that on, use this. This would be ideal for the build.